again. Today's master copy is going to be about trees and tree trunks and how to paint them, how to approach this subject. And for this I will use a winter scene, a winter painting of a German painter who lived and worked on the turn of the 19th century. His name was Walter Moras. And I will do a step-by-step demonstration, as always, how to approach this subject, and I will create this master study of his work. I'm only going to create a master study, not an exact museum replica. So it will resemble the original painting, but it won't be exactly the same. So let's get started. What's important to know about this painting or this demonstration is that we are going to start, or rather I'm going to start with painting all the background first and then work on the trees in the foreground and paint them after I blocked in all the sky, the land, and all the background elements of this painting. There are two different approaches to this. One is I can just paint in all the background, let the painting dry, and then build up the foreground trees. In this case, because this is an oil painting, it dries slower, so this is not necessarily the better approach unless you are using a fast drying medium. So the approach that I will use is I will going to paint in the backgrounds, but then I will use a rag to wipe out some of the shapes of the trees in the foreground before I start to paint them. Painting directly onto the wet background paint wouldn't be a very good idea because I would be fighting the lights the whole time, because these tree trunks in the foreground are pretty dark for the most part. Therefore, it wouldn't be an easy task to do it that way. So again, as you will see, I will wipe some of the background out once I laid it in. So first thing first, I will create a rough sketch. And for that, as always, I'm using Ultramarine Blue, Cad Red Light, and some solvent. I use Gamsol for that to dilute it. And I try to create a watercolor consistency to do my sketching. Now, in this case, I will push the blue a little bit more in the mixture because everything in this winter scene is leaning toward the blue, so I'm not going to make it too red. And I divide my canvas into 4 parts. I did the same thing to the reference photo, and that makes it easier and quicker to make the sketch. The next step is I'm going to find my horizon line, which is somewhere in between, about halfway in between the halfway point of the canvas and a quarter. So this was my half, this is my quarter, and the horizon appears to be somewhere here in the middle. So I establish this line first. That quickly divides the canvas into 2 parts. And I will continue with my sketch. I will not put in too much detail at this point, as you will see. I'm only going to put in as much as absolutely necessary. So next I will find where the tree line is in the middle, which is somewhere here. And there's gonna be another one here, very faintly, because I'm going to erase a lot of this. What I'd like to figure out here is where my road going to end or start. So I know that this big tree in the foreground falls right in the middle of this quarter mark here. So that gives me enough information to place the road and all the rest of the tree line. The next step is mixing the colors. I will start with the sky color. And then after that I will continue with the snow. The difference is very subtle in this painting between the sky and the snow-covered land. And on the left, that appears to be a lake, a frozen lake that also has snow on top of it. Very similar hues and very similar values. The ground is going to be just a slight lighter than the sky. And the sky is a sort of yellowish, greenish color. I will start by adding a little bit of ultramarine into this white. And probably a little more. And after that, I will add some yellow. No. Tiny bit more blue. And some white. And I just took a little piece of that mixture right above there to create some color harmony, to bring these two closer together. So it feels a little bit too warm. I add a little bit more of this. And I will add a little bit more white too. And then I will leave it at that. Next, I'm mixing the snow, which contains a little bit more blue, yellow and blue. Starting with the white. Most importantly, it's lighter than the sky, somewhat lighter. And I will use Cad Orange, little red Cad Orange. And I will also mix a warm and a cool purple or purplish blue. For that, I put this here. I take some ultramarine blue. A little bit of crimson to warm it up. It's going to be my light warm color. And I will also mix some of the colors that are in the tree line in the background. There are lots of different colors in there. Some of them are more purplish. Some of them are more like a sienna color. So for the sienna color, I already can use some of my mixture that I used for the sketching. I'm just going to need more white. I'll put that there. And then I'll put some here. Take some of this sienna, start to mix it. And this is not enough, so I'm probably going to mix more in it. I need more blue because it's too pink. And some orange as well. And I'm gonna keep adjusting this until I'm happy with the results. This is a toned canvas, so it's not pure white. I put a light tan or beige tone on it to neutralize the white. And I will have the last mixture that I'm gonna make, which is still not the trees. It's just not the trees in the foreground. I'm focusing everything that's in the background first. So for that, I'm mixing a stronger brownish sienna color, stronger than the one I did there. Just if I need adjustments with the value, it will be easier to do that if I have this darker mixture as well. And I will leave it at this. So I mix most of my colors now, at least the main colors. The next step will be blocking in everything, starting with the sky. So I'm blocking in, laying in my sky colors and starting with the lighter mixture, really randomly placing these lights on the canvas. Might not even be very visible on the screen. I might even add a little bit more white in the mixture here and there. And just focusing on loosely blocking in these sky colors. In this step, I will be blocking in the snow and the snow-covered land and the lake here. I will start with this sky color here because lots of it is reflected on the surface. It's especially visible in this corner of the painting where that light, streak of light reflection of the sky. There's a little bit more dark bluish violet on the lake here. Very subtle. All the colors are very subtle. But again, the focus of this painting is not the snow or the sky or those background trees, but the big foreground trees that I will paint last. Keeping everything else subtle and subdued will help to create the effect or even more impact with those large trunks. And then I will block in the snow. Since there is more sunlit area, I will block in the sunlight. This is the mixture I made for that. And probably I'll add some yellow to it, at least to the foreground, because I see more yellow in it. Very subtle, and I'm talking about really subtle steps here. stage, I will be blocking in the background trees, those really soft ones, and the background trees also that are closer in distance, but still on the soft side. And in fact, it might be a good idea at this point. I'm using a bristle brush to switch over to a synthetic brush, because synthetic brushes tend to be softer, and therefore it's a little bit easier to create softness with them. So this is a synthetic flat brush that I'm using. And I'm going for my browns as well. I try to use them simultaneously with the purple. And I leave the darks for last. There are a few details added to them which I might even ignore completely. I'll decide after my blocking process is completed. In this step, I will start to outline, or rather wipe out, some of those tree trunks that are the main focus of this painting and the main focus of this demonstration. And what I'm concentrating on at this moment is the main form of the tree and the placement. There is a slight bend in this trunk, so I'm trying to follow that or replicate it on my canvas. And this is just a plain rag. I dipped it into solvent and it works as an eraser, as you can see it. I still have some marks here on the edge of my canvas, which indicate where the halfway point is, the quarter marks. And that also helps me to position all the branches in the tree trunk. This is the final blocking stage in this painting. And for that, I need to mix my dark colors. I will work on those big tree trunks. And there are a few things going on here. One is the two big trees in the foreground are the darkest ones in value because they are the closest to us. And as we look at the other trees, as they progress into the distance, they get a little bit lighter, a little bit bluer, grayer in the same time. So I will mix the first mixture for the two big trees and then a second one for the other ones that I will adjust as I paint. At this point, I won't be adding any detail. It's only going to be a general blocking stage, so I won't think about the snow patches on the trees or bark pattern or anything like that, not even the smaller little branches. This is only the big shapes first, and after I complete that stage, then I will think about all of the smaller elements. And when we are painting trees or even sketching them, we need to think about them in terms of form. And trees are circular, they are tube-like in structure. So, I mean solid inside, but the shape itself, it's a cylinder shape. And when we paint them, we need to think about that, how we're gonna place the light to create the sense of form, the sense of circular shape. And that is usually done by manipulating the values, the light and dark values on a tree. So what I mixed here was ultramarine blue with cadmium orange. Here is a little bit more orange in the mixture. And finally here I will add some white into it too, because this is going to be the mixture for the trees further out in the distance, or at least to adjust them. I will use a bristle brush to block in these tree trunks, and I will start with a larger one. This is a number 4 bristle brush, a flat. The value slightly changes from the bottom to the top. The top is slightly lighter. I will be blocking in the snow now. That is rather patches of snow that are on the trees, on the tree trunks, and mostly the shadow ones. So this is a mixture of titanium white and ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to test it against the values here. It probably needs to be a little bit darker here, but as an average, I can more than likely use it, no problem, on all the trees, and then I will adjust it, add lights and darks to it. I'm using a small brush again. This is a number 2 filbert. In this last stage of the painting, there's really just detail work left, smaller branches, and the figure in the painting, some grasses, and some suggestion of light and tree barks, and some shadows on the snow. So this is really just considered to be detailed. The bulk of the painting is already finished. So now I'm starting with the shadows, and I'm going to check the value first. So what happens in the value of the shadows on the snow, as you can see, the parts that are closer to the part of the shadow that's closer to the tree trunk is a little bit darker, and the further away the shadow goes, the less and less obvious it gets. It actually loses value. It gets lighter and lighter. And same thing happens in the distance. If you look at the reference photo, the shadows on the ground further and further back get lighter and lighter. If you enjoyed this demonstration or any of the other ones I have on YouTube, and you would like to learn more about landscape painting, I have an excellent online course that I offer for mostly beginners or intermediate painters, and you can find the link below this video.